Welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement, your no-hype source for financial advice and making informed choices about your retirement planning. Get on the phone to talk today at 969-KTRS.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Now, here are your retirement coaches, Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
Well, hello, St. Louis, and welcome to Straight Talk on Retirement. You're live and local, St. Louis's favorite financial call-in show. I'm Jeff Lapidus, president of JBL Financial Services. Our offices are located in beautiful, freezing, cold, wet, drippy downtown Clayton, Missouri. I'm a 40-year veteran of the financial services area, a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. And I'm joined generally, really every week, except for this week, by my very favorite oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, who also is a fee-based financial planner and wealth manager. She also runs the health insurance side of our practice. And we help our clients make smart choices about their money. We do that by designing a game plan, a written step-by-step strategy, a real game plan that has several goals in mind. First is to preserve, protect, and prudently grow the assets our clients have taken their entire lifetimes to accumulate. Second is to deliver a reliable stream of income, one that they can count on so they can do all the things they'd like to do during retirement. And third is helping them with their health care needs, whether it's choosing the right plan to supplement Medicare or Social Security benefits. And then when they're done enjoying their assets during their lifetime, we show them how to pass them on to the people they love, whether it's their spouses or children, grandchildren, churches, or charities, whoever it might be, with Uncle Sam or the tax courts taking a big bite out of their money. And as their wealth managers, Aaron and I watch their money every single day to make sure they're staying on track. And that's why they call us the retirement coaches. Again, thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in this morning. We really appreciate you taking your time and visiting with us today. I do want to remind everyone that we do work with folks that are just like you, all of our clients. They're all 55 and older. They would like to retire or they're already retired, and we can create a game plan for them that has the goals of creating a fun, fast, and hopefully worry-free retirement. Obviously, I'm going solo this morning. Doesn't happen too often, but I really do need your help. So as you know, we are live. We are local. We'd love to hear from you. Phone lines are open. 931-5877, star 5877 from your cell phones, or, 84126 from the text line. And we know you have a lot of things on your mind. We do as well. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you today. Again, at 931-5877, star 5877 from your cell phones, or 84126 from the text line. We are live and local, and we're also the longest-running show on KTRS. Very proud of that as well. We're about to end year 14, and we're heading on to year 15, which is just great. And I guess that before I get into our cleanup stuff of the morning, we love to talk about our newsletter. We call it the Coach's Corner. Well, let's just do that. You can go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on the Coach's Corner newsletter icon, which is at the bottom left of the screen. Give us your name, address, email address. We'd also be happy to send that to you every single month by email if you would. Erin and her staff do keep the last 6 to 8 months of those archived for your viewing, printing, or downloading convenience. And they're fun newsletters because they really are multi-generational. We choose 4 different financial and investment planning topics each month. And we do send many of those not only just to our clients, but also their parents, and sometimes, especially if they're older parents, but also to children as well. They're adult children, which is a lot of fun. Again, you get that by going to our website, jblfinancial.com. Another way you can keep in contact with us is by the Contact Us section, upper right-hand corner. This is an area where you can ask a question. In many cases, many folks like to send us an email or connect us in that way so that they can arrange for a coaching session. They're fun. They're free. They're at our offices in Clayton. We'd love to see you. We also are performing those today by telephone and by Zoom during the pandemic, as it would be. So, again, it's easy to do. You just, if you want, just give our office a call, 863-0008. Again, 863-0008. And we would certainly love to hear from you. Fortunately, we do have Jim as our first caller on the line. Jim, good morning. Welcome to the show. You had a question about recent market events.
Yes, good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing just great. Thank you so much and appreciate you calling.
Thank you. So with the events this week with Robinhood and Reddit and the GameStop and all the other stocks, I'm wondering about if I should be trying to get more conservative in my 401k, 55 within 5 years of retirement, and right now probably 60% stocks, 40% bonds, but is there any concern that what happened this week is really going to cause the market to go down a lot? And should I be more 70% bonds, 30% stocks?
Okay, so I think we've got two questions here, if I'm right, Jim. The first one is that does it make sense to change your asset allocation, your stock to bond allocation here based on the events that we've heard this week, which, talk a little bit about Reddit and the market manipulation that happened with GameStop. And I guess the second question is, really about your 55. Is this the right time to do that? I would tell you that I think it's important here to have continued confidence in the financial markets and how they work. This type of an event is something that's unusual. We don't really see market manipulation, but it's like anything else. You go to whatever your local grocery store, and you know that every once in a while it gets robbed. But most of the time, it's very safe to go in there, and the food's still good, and you can safely go in and out as you want. Bad players do occur every once in a while. We do have we have mechanisms to deal with that. Those are called the SEC. We also have the courts, et cetera, to put these folks away, and generally they get caught because they have trails or paper trails, and they'll be able to get these folks. Should this reduce your confidence in investing in the market? And I would tell you no. As far as your mix today, you're sitting in what we would consider as a moderate mix, really towards the conservative side, 60-40. You have very good balance in your portfolio from a mix point of view. Again, I can't give you advice in regard to your personal portfolio because I don't really know what the underlying holdings are at this particular moment. I'd be able to do so if that was the case, but 60-40 it's a decent mix, and frankly, that's one that you're probably going to carry through, not only through retirement but through the rest of your life. There are some reasons for that. I wouldn't go to become more conservative at this point because of what happened this week. Because the truth is that it's easy to reduce your exposure. It's hard to figure out a time to get back in. The question would be, what events would have to drive you to take your allocation back if you went to a conservative mix like 30-70? And frankly, what those probably events are is a continued, let's say the market improves, rebounds, and if it does, guess what? Missed all that. So as investors, as we are for a long period of time, I think what's important here to remember is that we will have hiccups. We sometimes have potholes. Sometimes we have caverns. But the nice part is that we do get through all these, and we do have a very solid market. We have very good policing in that market, and I would say stay the course. Don't get driven by animal spirits, okay? And if your friends are, guess what? Be a contrarian. If they're running away, Buffett, I guess, once said that when people are fearful, that's the time to be greedy. People are greedy, it's the time to be fearful. So think about if people are running away, you want to run the opposite way. Good. Again, thank you so much for your call. I do appreciate that as well. And I think I really wanted to start the show this morning. Oh, so we do have a text question here. Great. It says, good morning. What are examples of strategies available to tax effectively pass assets to children when assets are primarily in IRAs? I wish I had a name of this person that was a texter because I would tell them personally, thank you. This is a great question, and the reason is that, and we've been having these conversations with clients as they've been coming in. We've really been doing it for the last 2 years, and this is really a top priority item with most of the folks we're working with once we get through the, as my grandma would always say, how's the money? Making sure you have enough cash flow. Excuse me. Making sure you're having enough cash flow to do things that you want to do, and obviously also dealing with emergencies, etc., or planned expenditures. Creating a strategy to pass assets effectively on to the next generation, to children, and frankly, we're even talking about passing these assets on to grandchildren. You know, when I started into practice with my father 40 years ago, we didn't have these conversations. Mom and Dad passed away. Generally, there was a house. Maybe there would be some CDs, etc. There weren't large stock portfolios. The truth is that we didn't have 401ks. We didn't have IRAs until the 1990s. Since then, what we've done is we've seen asset growth, that movement away from pensions, company-sponsored plans, to individual retirement accounts and pre-tax funded employee benefit plans. All of our clients, and frankly, even the smallest ones, okay, who have portfolios of 100, 200,000, et cetera, up to those that are in the millions, it's a lot of money. And passing these assets on to children, and truthfully, maybe being in a position to assist the next generation, that second generation, can be extremely important. And so the question that I posit to each person, and Aaron does this obviously also in coaching sessions as well, you know, the question that we posit to our clients is, before we do that, I like to say, here's a reality check. For everyone that's sitting in front of me, generally, and most of those folks are in their mid-60s, late 60s. Statistically, we're comfortable with saying to them, you're probably not going to pass away for another 20 years or more, God willing. Your children are going to be the same age as you are while you're sitting in front of me today. So consider that. And your grandchildren, I'm not going to do an Aaron joke here because I'm still waiting for grandchildren. Husband wouldn't be bad either, but grandchildren is another matter. A little more intense on that part. Those grandchildren are going to be, frankly, probably in their late 30s, 40s. You could have great-grandchildren at that point that are in their teens or younger. So this money could really be passing across not just one, but maybe two and even three generations. Imagine if you can this. How would your life have been different if you had inherited 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever the number would be, when you were in your 30s, 40s, 2030s? Could you have been more entrepreneurial? Especially now if you're a young parent, your grandchild actually having great-grandchildren. Could it have been better schools? Could it have been better camps? Could it have been better food? I mean, whatever it would have been. Would your life have been different? Would you have been, in your 30s, 40s, more entrepreneurial maybe? And I'm not just talking about starting a business, but it could have been, we have a lot of clients that, no one HGTV back then, but folks purchase properties, houses, renovate them, rent them, office buildings, whatever, farm property. Could you have been more how would your life would have been enhanced if you'd had the opportunity for that money? I mean, sometimes clients will look at me and say, well, Jeff, it would have been great. Things would have been different. Obviously, they have hindsight because they're 20 years older. So you have to ask yourself, the genetics these people have. They got them from you. How would that meld? How would that have done for you and your family if they'd had this money available? So, I think this is really. I mean, I think to answer this question, the best way that I can is that I think we have to think about passing assets not just to children, but maybe after that. It's more tax efficient to pass, especially retirement plan assets, 401k, to the people in the lowest tax brackets. So if I may, I like it. I mean, I know that most folks that are listening today, they're catching me in the car. That's how most radio listeners do. So don't close your eyes, even though I'm going to say close your eyes. Don't close your eyes to do this. But just, if you can, if you're pulled over, whatever, visualize this. Just imagine that you had a cake. And I like to draw this on our electronic whiteboard for coaching sessions. And just assume it's a 3-layer cake, right? Maybe it's chocolate, with vanilla in the middle, whatever it be, whatever kind that you like. Imagine the top layer being, let's call them non-retirement assets, trust assets, TOD assets, assets you've already paid taxes on, your home, savings, etc. Layer number 2 being Roth IRA assets, if you have Roth, which is kind of nice, if you've been able to do that. And then layer number 3, which may be the largest layer for some people, is your 401k, your IRA assets, because we know 401ks are just IRAs waiting to happen, which does happen when you retire. Typically, when you're serving a cake, you just slice right through the top to the bottom, each beneficiary getting a piece of each layer. That's not tax efficient. Your children, who probably are going to be in their 60s, 70s, God willing, when they get this money, they're in their higher tax brackets. They could be in their highest earning years. Does it make sense for them to not get, or I should say the other way, wouldn't it make more sense if you have a dollar amount in mind at this point? Wouldn't it make sense for them to get the tax-free assets, like trust or TOD assets, your mutual funds, stocks or bonds you invest in? Why? Because we know that death, the cost basis of those steps up from what you paid to the fair market value at the date of death. Doesn't it make more sense for them to get that, or even your children, your grandchildren, who, by the way, should be in their 30s, 40s at that point, as compared to maybe your great-grandchildren, if you're lucky enough to. I mean, I'm probably never going to see those. Probably won't. I mean, unless, of course, I live to be Moses' age, which would be kind of an interesting thing to do. Who are going to be in the lowest tax bracket. So if we're going to be tax efficient, shouldn't we pass the assets again on to the people that are in the lowest tax bracket? And I would say yes. And especially with retirement assets, because the laws have just changed. So we know that children or any non-spouse beneficiary, not your wife, okay, if they inherit an IRA, we know that under new tax law, if they're over the age of 18, they have to empty that IRA that they've inherited from you, or 401k. It'll go into an IRA at your death and then become a 401k goes to an IRA. Then it gets distributed. It has to be distributed within a 10-year period. IRS hasn't given us a formula on how to do it, but it has to be emptied in 10 years. For anyone younger who is a beneficiary, they can actually still continue to take out required minimum distributions, which are generally less than 4%. All the way up until their age 18, in which case then they go into the 10-year emptying rule. So we're sitting at a table, and I'm trying to think, but I'll get in trouble with my wife about this, but the next birthday in our family, I'm not going to name an age because, if I say 36, because she just turned 35, she'll yell at me. And I'm just kidding. So what happens is that we're sitting at the table and we've got this cake. So instead of taking out a knife and slicing all the way through the bottom, wouldn't it make sense maybe, it won't maybe when we're done with this, is to scoop out of the bottom. Let's pull those IRA assets out first. And let's dole them out to the people that are in the lowest tax brackets, leaving the remainder portion, for those that are in the higher tax brackets. That would be the most efficient and that would be the most effective way to do it. And I would urge all of our listeners, who I like to compliment because when they come in to visit with us in coaching sessions, they're ready, they're smart. They want confirmation. They know that they're in a position, and they're hoping, and a lot of times they want confirmation that they can retire. And they need somebody to, a little extra special touch, right? Help me make those decisions. And there's so many of them that are interconnected. Decisions about how do I transition from my company healthcare that I've understood for, 40 plus years, maybe, to Medicare, which is a totally different world. And fortunately, I have Erin to help you out. And she's wonderful. You've heard her. And I know if you are a regular listener, you're probably disappointed because you like listening to her better. It's okay. I'm her dad. I don't mind that. Making those type of decisions, making decisions about when are we taking Social Security based on our cash flow, when we turn on those other spigots that we have, etc. That's just one game plan. This other game plan that we're talking about here, the transfer of assets from you to the people you love, frankly, can maybe be the most important help. So you got to talk to your advisor about this if you have one. And this is a very important conversation because at the end of the day, you're probably in a very different position than you were from your parents. You really have, maybe this is the greatest time that you can be the most impactful when it comes to money for your family. And this could be setting you up for generations. So we're talking about it with our clients. Talk to your advisor if you have one about those. If not, you know where to find us. It's easy to do. You can always pick up the phone, give us a call, 314-863-0008, or go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on that Contact Us. Write us a blurb. Tell us a little story. And my staff is happy to follow up with you and arrange a coaching session, either in person or by Zoom or possibly by the telephone, whatever's convenient for you. How you feel safe. We're here for you. We love to do that. Again, do want to thank that texter for that question. It's so important. I mean, it's so important for us. And I think this really gets back to, and I would like to say sort of at least as far as Erin and I are concerned, really is the core of what we do. And, I've had friends over the years, and they said to me, Jeff, why do you call yourself the retirement coach? Well, I think it really, putting the words together for us, I think really defines the people and the relationship we want to have. I've worked with folks of all ages over my lifetime, and the truth is that making that transition from work to retirement is really complicated, and the truth is it's really scary. For most people, it's you're going from a place where either you're creating it if you own the business, or that check is coming in if you're working for someone else every week, every 2 weeks, whatever your pay cycle is. You're putting money away, you're accumulating it. If you're thinking about retirement, I know you've been prudent in your spending habits. Otherwise, if you're running negative cash flow, you have a huge amount of debt, you probably know it's not going to happen. But then how do I make all these important interlocking decisions? And there's a lot of them, like I just talked about, healthcare, Social Security. Some of these decisions that you make can be changed. A lot of them can't. And they can impact you for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, if you're lucky, you can live to 100. We don't have any clients that are 100 right now, but we wish all of them lived that long. Be fun. Making your money grow, getting cash flow, having that happen, and then being in a position. And it's hard to do that, to imagine those assets passing on to people that you love, and you want to pass them on because they've already been taxed once, in many cases, in the most effective way that you can. Very different conversations that have happened over the last 30, 40 years. They just are different. And I apologize for repeating myself, but I feel like these family decisions can maybe be the most important decisions we help our clients make. And so we're doing it. We're having these discussions. We're talking about these on every coaching session. And it isn't something you can make a decision on right away. You may have to talk to your spouse. You may decide you want to talk with your children. And, it's not always easy. We facilitate these. In our case, what we like to do is sometimes these require changes in their legal documents. Sometimes they don't. And what we like to do is is to initiate these conversations, have them with clients, so that what they can do is go home, think about things, think about money, think about the impacts, think about how their children deal with money today and maybe later. about relationships with their children, grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren, and say, okay, where are we at? When are they going to? Because for me, what's interesting is that, for me, it was an epiphany. I mean, I really thought about this. It says, we talk about retirement planning, but the truth is, when we're talking about passing assets to, I call it the vanilla way, which is they get to the kids and then whatever's left for them, they pass it on to grandchildren. This is happening now when people are in my age, late 60s, early 70s, is when their parents are passing away. They're getting this money now, and for many of them, it's nice. A lot of the money's tax-free. But wouldn't it have been better if it had been passed to their children or to their grandchildren? And not small amounts. I mean, for many people, we've had clients that have inherited farms and 2, 3, 4, 500,000. It's great. it's wonderful. But wouldn't it have been more impactful for that money, maybe, or a portion of it, to go to their children? Could they have really then, could that have helped them maybe get that first house? Could it maybe have assisted them to start, they knew they were entrepreneurial, to start their or invest in that small business? Got to think about it. And we feel that as coaches, and that's really what we see ourselves as coaches. You have the members of the team. You're the owner. You got the players, whether they're IRAs, 401ks, stuff that's going on with your family, your health situation, etc. We're creating that game plan to win, and winning is different for everyone. Maybe it's spending more time with those people that you love. Maybe it's traveling for a while, and then as you get older, then spending more time people that you love. Maybe it's helping other people. And we have a lot of folks, it's interesting, in retirement where, none of our clients work. Okay, it's called, Jeff, I want to, Aaron, we want to get out. We don't plan to go back. We never want to go back. Maybe we'll do something part-time, which they definitely never do, which is great. But they want to spend more time in helping out at the church or at some other charitable organization. A lot of people, having the confidence that your cash flow will be there so that you can really then take your time to do things that are important for other people. They nurture your soul. There's nothing better than that. Being able to have the time to then spend it with your grandchildren. We always talk about, I don't know, I've coined the phrase grandma time. There is grandpa time, hopefully. I know my daughter's listening. She doesn't feel good today, but she's listening anyways. I'm sure with my daughters one day, I'm hopeful that I'll have the honor, the privilege that, it'll be the joy of my life to become grandparents. There's just there is truly a magical period of time there when they're born to 10, 11, 12, 13 years old at the most. Boys different than girls. And then they go off with their friends and they get in trouble and do things, whatever. But there's that magic time, and to maximize that, to have the ability to do things, to enable your children, maybe in a way financially that your parents couldn't, or frankly wouldn't. It's awesome. We're talking about it. It's just awesome, and for us, and that's why I wanted to. I was going to start this morning by saying thank you, but I really do want to say thank you. I want to thank our listeners who, one per week, become clients. We're helping them with their game plans. With Aaron, we're looking at, almost one per day, helping people transition to Medicare. Getting invited into their life, there is nothing more rewarding than us sharing and enabling them to do these things. It's wonderful. It's very rewarding. And we love the joys, and unfortunately, we cry at the sorrows too. People do pass away, unfortunate events that happen, and I think every advisor has to really decide, what type of relationship they want with their clients, and frankly, with their clients' money. We've kind of done that, and we're very fortunate. We're honored, really. So many of our listeners, you folks are listening today, have, they feel like it's a time. They want confirmation. They're within 5 years of retirement. Many of them are within 5 days. And they come in, they say, help us. There's nothing better than this. I mean, there's nothing better for us than getting involved, for them inviting us into their life, and that's what they do. And with working, and I haven't said this to clients very, very often. I don't really have to, because I think they listen and they say they listen to my daughter and I, and it's, we're a family thing. That's the type of relationship they want to have with someone they feel like that really cares about them. It's great. It's just fun. It's fun for us, and it's been fun for 14 years. So I want to say to our listeners and the 600 plus families that, Aaron and I have been able to help, and they call us their coaches. And the other 2,000 folks that Aaron's helped with making that transition to Medicare. Thank you. Our goal is to enrich your life, and honestly, we hope that we do that, and we try to do that every day. So it's really a lot of fun for us. Let's take a quick break. That was probably a pretty good monologue, right? We'll let folks rest on that. And I'm Jeff Lapidus, a retirement coach. We'll be right back. Now is when Coventry turns confusion into clarity. Coventry Healthcare has got a simple approach to care. By listening to their members, Coventry can make plans that work harder for you and your budget. The result? They offer great service and clear costs. If you're looking for a plan that's more about you, give them a call at 1-855-338-9551, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's 1-855-338-9551. Now is the time to call Coventry Healthcare.
If you're turning 65 this year, you face one of the most critical choices for your retirement game plan: enrolling in Medicare Part B and choosing your Medicare supplement. I will help you safely navigate this process and find the health insurance plan that best works with your new Medicare coverage. Getting started is easy. Call me at 314-863-0008, 314-863-0008 to arrange for a free health insurance coaching session, or email me at aaron@jblfinancial.com.
Now back to Straight Talk and Retirement on the Big 550 KTRS. Here's Jeff and Aaron Lapidus.
That's right. We're back here in the Big 550 KTRS Talk Radio St. Louis. I'm Jeff Lapidus, the retirement coach. And I'm missing my very favorite oldest prodigal daughter, Aaron Lapidus, this morning. But she'll be back next week. I promise. Swear to God. Hope she's feeling better. I'm sure that she will, and I know her mom's taking care of her, or will be running over there to take care of her if it's really needed. But she's okay. And I'm easy. I get into the office, and Aaron and I usually, we usually group up, as it would, in Clayton. She lives there, and about an hour before, around 8:30, and she walks in and she looks at me and she goes, "Dad." I don't even know what she said. I don't know. I'm not feeling good, whatever. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is Jerry Maguire. You had me at Dad. Amazing, No word in the English language is better than Dad. It isn't. Just, it's wonderful being Dad. So in either case, it's also nice being your coach. So let's go to John, talk about a situation. John sent me an email the other day, which I was able to maneuver out of Aaron's stack of emails. And he said, and his question was, what do I do with $500 a month? We don't always get a question about what do I do with $500 a month. We always get a question, what do I do? I've inherited some money, or I've got some extra income, or I have cash flow, etc. So John told us that he was 62 years old and would like to continue to work until his normal retirement age, which in his case is age 67. He does have a mortgage right now. I asked him for some more details. He's got a mortgage right now of about $130,000. He just took it out recently, so he's got 29 years to go. It's all good, John. No other significant outstanding credit cards or debt balances, which is good. And he's not making his maximum contribution to his 401k. So what do I do? Where is the best place to put this money? And we do get questions often asked. And again, the suggestions I'm going to make here are not necessarily something that you should run off and do. Jeff said this, but these are great things to talk about, especially during coaching sessions, phone calls sometimes that we have with folks. So a couple of options I would be. Number one is that I would really be thinking and saying to John, first one is Aaron would do this too. Tell us about your emergency fund. Do we have enough cash flow set aside so that if something bad happened, or frankly, you had a project in mind? Have we begun to accumulate capital so that you don't have to borrow money to make this happen? And if you're not there today, what is the optimal level? So the first thing we would do is, and again, I always think of things in buckets, buckets and faucets, okay? So if this bucket is half filled up, well, look, let's just keep filling that bucket up until it's full. And then obviously we can turn on the spout when we need to and siphon down the amount that we need. I think that's real important. Secondly, are there any capital expenditures, big ones? And we think of a capital expenditure like a business would, which is, do I need to purchase a piece of equipment? Do I have to depreciate something? Is there a new building that we have, whatever it would be? Is there something that we're going to have to spend capital on, which we won't be doing on an ongoing basis in the next 3 years? That might require us, especially if our emergency fund bucket, the vault as I like to call it, is full. Maybe we're setting aside and creating a new vault, which would be there for consumption. And we know folks do that all the time, right? They set aside money to pay for real estate taxes, which happen once a year. They set aside money maybe for vacations. They may be setting aside money to help Johnny, who's at college, maybe for books or possibly for walking around money, or maybe they're even helping with tuition, whatever it would be. Another option would be, and Aaron did this analysis, where if we took $300 of that $500 a month in his particular situation, we could reduce his loan from 29 years to 13.5 years. Which means that John would be mortgage-free at the ripe, mature age, still kind of a youngster, 75. If that would be an important goal for him, great. Now, he did mention to us that he still wanted to work for another approximately 5 years. What he could do is what we kind of think of as reverse engineering. You're not putting the most in you can to your retirement plan, so why not go back and reduce your current pay by $200 per month? $100 maybe a paycheck if you're paying twice a month. Reduce that pre-tax pay. Don't have to pay federal state taxes on that, and that'll directly go into your retirement account. Boost your savings, have some tax-deferred growth till 67 when you want to leave. Not a bad deal. Again, if you, with that portion that's left, $200 a month as an example. If you've done all these other things, well, maybe you put that maybe you add that to the $300 we were talking about as a mortgage fund, and it really becomes kind of a variable component. Put it in while you can. Stop it when you aren't able to. If you get into situations where you might have a short period of time, you're not able to do that, that's great. Working your way to those goals, what I have found over the last 20 years in working with clients is that when you get into either a savings mode, putting money aside, doing it on a regular basis, or getting into a reduction of debt mode or obligations, if you want to use it's sort of like refuge versus, the garbage man versus I forget the term, what it is. But paying down debt, seeing those balances reduce, seeing your interest payments, especially if it's credit card debt, going down, getting rid of those obligations. it's exciting. I mean, truthful. I mean, I know you might not think of this, but it's exciting. And what happens is most people they don't actually stay at the level they are, but they accelerate. When you see your assets growing, it's fun to see that happen. You know that you're becoming more financially well, whether you're paying down obligations or you're accumulating capital or cash. And in many cases, having that cash available to you, especially if it's ready and available, can be so important because what it does is it gives you choices. And I don't necessarily, and for some people, maybe that choice is for consumption. But as an example, we haven't reduced the income flows, the cash flows that we've been sending to clients over the pandemic. And you would think that, and I know really for the case, they can't be spending as much money. They just can't. I mean, realistically, most folks, if you want to call it entertainment expense, which might include eating out, getting on airplanes, taking long drives to distant locations, whatever it might be, these have all been either eliminated by them or by a local government, or they're just not happening. Some people discuss pent-up demand. Well, I have to tell you what, I'm pent up and I'm demanding that we get out of this soon. And I know that for most folks, for many, I've talked to 3 clients yesterday, and all of them told me, it was fun. It just happened this way, but they all said, I have a cruise plan. I mean, they're ready to go. They've already made deposits, and they know that there could be some variability here in terms of when they're able to leave, but they're going. Frankly, what's going to happen is the weather is going to get a little bit better. The rain is eventually going to stop. Hopefully, we don't see a whole lot of snow. People are going to want to get out of town. It's going to be for me, it's a fun time of the year. It's golf season. People want to leave, playing golf at different places, walking on golf courses, being near beaches. My wife wants to go to the beach, so we'll be beaching sometime soon. It's all great. It's all fun. People aren't spending money on this, so I know that we haven't been sending them the income flows that they've been receiving. We've seen the same income flows they've been receiving in the past, so they're stockpiling money. I know that they are. Or they're enabling their kids, or maybe their grandkids to do certain things, which frankly is even more fun and better. But we know that's going to happen. So seeing those assets grow, which give you options to do things for yourself personally and for family members, seeing your obligations be reduced, so truthfully for many folks, they're able to help other family members in times of need because their cash flow isn't being consumed by obligations. And it's great. And we know that, Aaron and I know this, I mean, after visiting with, and on average, we probably see 100 new families a year. Half of those become new clients. I'm just letting you know is that this happens, and that those that have paid off their mortgages, those that are debt-free, 70 to 80% of them are rock stars, which is great. We know that those obligations aren't tying up a lot of their capital. So then they're in a position where they can do the things that they want to do. So let me give you an example, and again, it's one that hopefully you'll appreciate. But let's assume, let's take John's case. Let's assume that John's mortgage is running $1,000 a month, or approximately $12,000 a year. And again, this is again mortgage, the payment and the interest. Let's set aside taxes, and let's set aside real estate taxes, et cetera, and insurance. It's $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. In John's case, we're going to require, in my mind, about $300,000 of capital. And again, it could be pre-tax, it could be after-tax capital, that we're cash flowing using a prudent withdrawal rate of 4% to make that $1,000 a month payment, to make that $12,000 a year payment. I don't know John's financial situation, and frankly, I don't know those of the listeners, people who listen to me today. But if you consider that, if you think whatever, if you look and you go, oh, interesting idea, Jeff. Okay, how much capital do we have? And how much of our capital now is really being restricted, or our income is being restricted because we have to make this payment. And so when you're asking yourself that question, which, by the way, we love to answer. It's just fun. Do I have enough capital? Have I saved enough? Am I in a position where I can go to the promised land? Go from working to being retired? We're talking about debt obligations. And for many folks, if you haven't gotten rid of those debt obligations, we're talking about how to do it. We're creating a game plan. Like in John's case, we're talking about, hey, you can get rid of it in 15 years. Well, if you increase your payment, you could maybe get rid of it in 10. If that's important to you, that's something to do. For many folks, and I honestly have to include myself in this category, you've made your life happen based on payments. You've had car payments. Maybe they're lease payments because I don't buy cars. You have lease payments. You have mortgage payments. You have HBO payments. I mean, you have all kinds of payments. So you've created cash flow through your earnings to pay those payments, and you're comfortable with having those. They're just monthly overhead, and so your business is just requires so much cash flow every month. At the time of retirement, we really have to test and say, hey, can our model manage to maintain that debt? Or does it make more sense to eliminate it? If we do it over a period of time, will that work? As a corollary to that, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who Aaron had recently helped in making that transition to Medicare. He happens to be a self-employed person, so he got out of his own individual health and he moved over. And so I asked him, I said, I know that you're normal retirement age at this point. I know you're still very actively at work, and he's a professional, and he probably isn't going to ever quit because he owns his own company. He happens to be an attorney. And I said, you taking Social Security? He goes, no. I said, why? I said, well, I'm thinking I'll let it grow. And I said to him, well, let me ask you a question. She's got a mortgage on your house. Do you have a son? Do you still have any college educational loans, et cetera, et cetera? And we decided over telephone that, hey, maybe it made sense to take that Social Security today, even though I am actively working, even though I've met my normal retirement age, so I don't have any penalties with terms of give back because of my income, to use that cash flow to pay off those obligations. Is that more valuable to me now than it would be in 4 years for that additional monthly amount from Social Security? It's hard sometimes to make those decisions, especially by yourself. When you're embroiled, when you're in the middle of that money talk to yourself, just a lot of stuff out there. I mean, the mantra is wait, 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 wait. I have to tell you something. Most people don't wait, and frankly, it doesn't make a lot of sense to wait. Are they working? How healthy are they? Do they have obligations that, frankly, this Social Security money could pay off, which would make it so valuable for them? I mean, think about the example I just did. I have $1,000 a month payment, which is costing me, in theory, I'm holding $300,000 of my capital hostage to make that payment. But if I were to take my Social Security, let's say it's $3,000 a month as an example. I'm paying 20 cents in taxes, so I've got $2,600 a month. Well, I can take $28,000 a year. I can pay that and get rid of that. Say it's a $100,000 obligation. Well, I just freed up $200,000 of assets, right? I mean, I had $300,000 hostage. I just got rid of that obligation. Now it's all open, and it cost me $100,000 in theory to release that $300,000 asset. I mean, oh my God. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to do. That's why visiting with someone who you're confident in, you feel confident, you hope is capable, to have these conversations can be extremely meaningful for you, just like we had with our text line this morning. that conversation about how do I pass on assets effectively. Being willing to say, let's dig down, let's talk about these people, but let's also visualize what would really happen if we make some of these changes. I mean, having someone do that, having someone assist you is so important. And when folks ask us how much do we charge, the answer is, well, what's it worth to you? I mean, we have a fee. It's 0.25% per quarter. We charge every client, no matter how large or small their assets are, the same fee because they get the same brain power. They're not just getting investment advice, but also and management. But what they're also getting is, I think, the important other stuff. Having these discussions, having decisions about, I like to call it faucet management, can be fun. I mean, for us, it's fun. But the ultimate result of these things is, for most people, is making them feel more comfortable to make the bigger decisions. I mean, wouldn't it be great if you, after going through a coaching session with a financial advisor, you came to a conclusion that, you know what, I can retire now, but I don't want to. Maybe I'm not ready emotionally. Maybe I like the money. I want to stay a little longer. Maybe I have a couple of more years before I can actually get onto and become eligible for Medicare. And we see this a lot. We meet a lot of folks that are early 60s that they're rock stars. They accumulated money. They stayed invested. You know, with our earlier caller today, should I run away from the market? No. They stayed invested through thick and thin. Accumulate a lot of money, which is great. They have assets. Now what they can do is create income. But they want to wait. Maybe wait till 63 and a half where they can go to COBRA. Or they don't want to pay the COBRA premiums. You know, I can hang around for another year and a half. Having those options to do these things, there's nothing better. I mean, there's nothing better of understanding your options and then be able to take advantage of things when you want. That's what we call a coaching session. For us, for folks, our listeners, you know, you can call us. You're within 5 years of retirement. You're already retired. We'd love to see you. It's an hour in our office. It's fun. It's free. At our office in Clayton. Easy to do. 314-863-0008. Again, 314-863-0008. Or go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Send an email to Aaron or I, jeff@jblfinancial.com, or the more popular email, aaron@jblfinancial.com. Or just go to our website, jblfinancial.com. Click on the contact us section. Send us a note. Our staff will call you. We'd be very happy to do that. But it's fun. And our job, in all sincerity, is to make it fun for you. We'd love to hear, you know, it'd be nice if we had enough time today, and we only have about 2 minutes left. Maybe I shouldn't have talked so much today, right? We should have folks call in and say, how's things been in it? You've gone to a coaching session, how's it worked? And it could be clients or even folks that are in the middle or folks that haven't become clients. I mean, did you have more clarity when you left than when you walked in? I'd make a bet on that horse. I mean, I would fairly say that I think at least 90% of the people I know that I've queried say, hey, how are you feeling? Do you feel more comfortable about your finances? Are you now ready to make some different choices or more choices? Did you get the confirmation that you wanted? And that's a yes. And I think that's real important. And hopefully you're feeling that, you're getting that from the people that you're working with, because that's really what you're paying for. Guidance, confirmation. Am I on the right path? If I'm not, what can I do to get on there? And then frankly, what do I have to do it's like a jeweler, you know? What do I need to do to polish this diamond to get it to be sharp, to get it to, I have to close my eyes because I've got too much reflection from the sun on it. It's so bright and brilliant. I mean, that's what it is. And frankly, your life is bright and brilliant. We hope we can help. It's easy to do if you're within 5 years of retirement, you're already retired, you want to come in and see the coaches, 314-863-0008. Again, 314-863-0008. See you next week.
The opinions voiced in this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and JBL Financial Services, Inc. are separate entities from LPL Financial.
This is Jeff Lapidus, the Retirement Coach. We'll be back next week at 10 a.m. here on the Big 550 KTRS.